This has been the site of weekly morning prayer vigils. Like, families belong together. They can go be out of our country together. What is your problem? And due process. They're getting it. That's why they're in an ICE facility. They're not just being shot by government officials. They're being shot by you people. Trump's not shooting any illegals. Your side is. Oh, they got her! Is that Madam Hippo? Another attack. This one on ICE out in Dallas. We've got updates from the Dallas Police Department, the latest from Kristi Noem, and Kash Patel just dropped an image of the bullets. And you can see we do have the shooter who is now dead, but we have also a dead deportee and others are injured. Turns out no law enforcement individuals were shot. So this guy showed up and wrote anti-ICE on the magazine and now shot and killed somebody who was being deported and then eliminated himself. So Kash Patel explained, this morning, just before 7 a.m. local time, an individual fired multiple rounds at a Dallas, Texas ICE facility, killing one, wounding several others, and taking his own life. FBI, DHS, ATF are on the ground with Dallas PD and state authorities. Now, while the investigation is ongoing, an initial review of the evidence shows an ideological motive. Shocking. Behind this attack, see photo below. One of the unspent shell casings recovered was engraved with the phrase anti-ICE. More updates will be forthcoming. These despicable, politically motivated attacks against law enforcement are not a one-off. We are only miles away from Prairie Land, Texas, where just 2 months ago, another individual ambushed a separate ICE facility targeting their officers. It has to end, and the FBI and our partners will lead these investigative efforts to see to it that those who target our law enforcement are pursued and brought to the fullest extent of justice. Thankfully, no law enforcement personnel were injured. Please pray for the injured and the deceased. So the guy is anti-ICE and he goes and shoots the illegal aliens. 3 of them. Others are wounded. One's dead and then shoots himself. Maybe out of shame and guilt for killing people who he's, I guess, trying to free. I mean, it's horrible. We don't want anybody to be shot and killed. That's not how the deportation process should work. It's a sick thing that they are doing to think that they can just go start firing bullets at people and then put anti-ICE on the casings. And what would you call that? A clip? A magazine? I got a bone up on my ammunition terminology. But that is from FBI Director Kash Patel. Here, Kristi Noem came out and responded, says, there was a shooting this morning at the Dallas ICE field office. Details are still emerging, but we can confirm there were multiple injuries and fatalities. Whether there were multiple or not is yet to be seen. The shooter is deceased, self-inflicted gunshot wound. And while we don't know the motive yet, we're pretty sure we know what the motive is now. Kash Patel posted, I think just after she posted that. She says, we know that our ICE law enforcement is facing unprecedented violence against them, and it must stop. Please pray for the victims and their family, from Kristi Noem and more. Dallas PD said. On September 24th, that's the day, 6:40 a.m., Dallas police responded to assist an officer at the 8100 block North Stemmons Freeway. The preliminary investigation determined that a suspect opened fire at a government building from an adjacent building. 2 people were transported to the hospital with gunshot wounds. 1 victim died at the scene. Suspect is deceased. This is an ongoing investigation, and we hold a media briefing later today. So I'm sure we'll know much more since this dude is now in possession of the authorities, eliminated himself, and may have left a trove of evidence. We got updates, 8 of them over from the New York Times. The latest says the photo that was posted from Kash Patel appeared to be rifle caliber ammunition affixed to a clip. It is common for military surplus ammunition to be sold to the public in that configuration. Now, where did this happen? Right here, site of the shooting at the Dallas ICE field office, explaining that this is part office building and part processing center. Part of the building is where ICE agents have desks and cubicles where they do some admin work, and others where immigrants check in. The other part of the building has a secured entrance where detainees are brought into custody for fingerprinting and biometric screening. Then there's a hold room, and more than 55 people a day are awaiting transfer to a long-term facility. So he just showed up there and I guess wanted to kill a deportee. After officials said at a news conference that rounds found near the gunman contain messages that were anti-ICE in nature, Kash posted the photo, which we just saw. Very few details. Sounds like they just had a short press conference right here. And here's a little snippet.
Early evidence that we've seen from rounds that were found near the suspected shooter contain messages that are anti-ICE in nature.
All right, so that's from the AP. One person killed, 2 others wounded. Shooter died of self-inflicted gunshot wound. No members of law enforcement were hurt. Report from somebody who was checking in. They crouched down. Law enforcement official in Texas, not authorized to speak publicly, looking at all possible motives. I think it's pretty clear. The ICE facility is on Service Road next to Interstate 35. Here's some more. This has been the site of weekly morning prayer vigils. Like, families belong together. They can go be out of our country together. What is your problem? And due process. They're getting it. That's why they're in an ICE facility. They're not just being shot by government officials. They're being shot by you people. Trump's not shooting any illegals. Your side is. The shooting occurred at a field office, typically been used to process people, and hopefully those who are injured recover. This is more from Homeland Security. They shared this bright and early, saying, this morning at a Dallas ICE field office, there was a shooting resulting in multiple injuries and fatalities. The shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. This is violence against our ICE law enforcement officials, and it must stop. Please continue to have thoughts and prayers. Here is what Todd Lyons, who is acting director, had to say this morning on CNN.
For being here, I want to say you were coming in. We were talking to you anyway. Obviously, this event has sort of subsumed what we were going to discuss. What can you tell us about this incident in Dallas?
Yeah, literally, as I was coming here, we were notified that there were shots fired at our Dallas field office. Right now, preliminary information is a possible sniper. We have 3 individuals that are down at this time. We're not sure on their condition. They've been taken to the hospital. We're hearing some reports that the shooter may be down from the Texas Department of Public Safety. The scene's secure. Obviously right now, my hearts and prayers are going out to my officers and agents. That's my biggest concern, and as well as everyone in that area. But this just shows the violence that's being increased against ICE officers and agents. This is the second time now we've had a shooting at one of our facilities in the Dallas area. It's just a sad time that we have to worry about violence against law enforcement.
Yeah, and they're shooting at law enforcement officials. They're shooting at conservative activists and influencers. Here's more from the press briefing. This is more fresh than that prior clip.
Yeah, good morning. My name's Joe Rhetoric. I'm the special agent in charge of the Dallas FBI field office. I want to first start by thanking our partners in local law enforcement, specifically the Dallas Police Department, for their quick and timely response. I can confirm at this time that the FBI is investigating this incident as an act of targeted violence. It is unfortunately just the most recent example we've seen of targeted violence, to include here in North Texas, where back on July 4th, we saw a coordinated attack carried out against an immigration detention center in Alvarado, Texas. What I can also share with you is that early evidence that we've seen from rounds that were found near the suspected shooter contain messages that are anti-ICE in nature. Again, this is just the most recent example of this type of attack. This will be a whole of government response. There will be no resource not utilized to bring all those individuals who are responsible, to bring them to justice and to hold them accountable. While we're not releasing identities of any victims at this time, what I can confirm for you is no members of law enforcement were hurt during this attack. If any member of the public has information that would help the FBI's investigation, I would ask that you please report that to 1-800-CALL-FBI. Again, any piece of information will be helpful, but this will be an ongoing investigation between us, a number of federal partners, and our local partners, again, to ensure that anyone responsible is held accountable. With that, I will turn it over to my counterpart from the ICE Enforcement and Removal Office.
All right, so a little bit more there. Ted Cruz showing up for the cameras, looking great, doing it. Had to probably put his podcast on hold for today, but he'll get back to it. We also saw Trisha from Ohio, who is a spokeswoman over for ICE. Here's what she had to say on with Fox.
For the local law enforcement who was also on scene, we know that there were 3 fatalities, potentially detainees, not ICE law enforcement at this time, that there have been other injuries and some individuals are in critical condition, and we'll get you that information as soon as possible. As far as the shooter goes, there was a self-inflicting gunshot wound and he's dead. He's deceased. We believe that he was shooting at law enforcement and the detainees from an apartment building. Again, those details are still murky. It looked like it might have been a sniper or some sort of long form shot, but as soon as we have more information, we will give that out. But we do ask the American public, please join us in praying for the victims, for our law enforcement. We've been saying for months that the rhetoric around our law enforcement, particularly ICE, the dehumanization, the demonization, has spun so far out of control, and that someone is going to get hurt or someone's going to get killed. And we hope that's not today, that this must stop. And I do have to know, almost a month to the date, at this Dallas ICE field office, we actually had a bomb threat there, a viable bomb threat. So we know that there has been really out of control rhetoric and threats against them. And please join us in praying.
Amazing response from her. Don't have to justify it. Well, deportees shouldn't be murdered, but, they're illegal aliens or something like that. Didn't hear that from her, okay? Because it's a horrific thing. Nobody deserves to be shot and killed. That's not how the process is supposed to work when you're being deported. And these maniacs, man, just can't understand how normal civil society functions, apparently. Okay, we're in a new era now where they think it's okay to just pick up weapons and just start shooting at people and then miss and hit their own people who they're supposed to be, I guess, freeing under a hail of gunfire. So it's, not good. And we'll see if there's dancing TikTok videos from those maniacs over there on the other side celebrating the death of a deportee. Probably not, because they'll only celebrate the death of conservatives. So we had Wesley Hunt. He's over in Texas. He is explaining, a heinous act of violence is unfolding here. And Emily and I are praying for the victims and for every man and woman in uniform. And let me be clear, demonizing our law enforcement has consequences. Dangerous rhetoric against those who protect our communities fuels this violence. Our officers deserve respect, support, gratitude, not to be painted as villains or targets. They'll probably blame him for this. Well, if you didn't have them in custody, then he wouldn't have shot them. Okay. This attack is an attack on law and order and must be condemned without hesitation. And of course, we do totally. So here's more. Now, it's Antifa all over the place. So this was a wild X account last night timeline. Katie Davis Court, who is a journalist, she was up in Portland last night and was just posting video after video of what was going on. She said, more journalists got to come up here to Portland. Things are popping off over here. And they started to attack an ICE building, a federal building. You can see in Portland, so separate from Texas, we've got multi-terror cells percolating all over America, including those taking out Charlie Kirk. Now emanating up, Andy No was reposting a Katie Davis Court video. She was there posting videos like crazy. You don't see a lot of this over on normal media. But here, Andy says, Portland, September 19th, so not long ago, violent Antifa militants gathered to attack ICE facility again. Okay, that was back a few days ago. But then last night and up more recently, things were still popping off. Now, Katie Davis Court was saying, this is the Antifa direct action that I'm covering. This is 16 hours ago. She said, Portland, in solidarity with Eugene, we are everywhere. Squad up, make travel plans, bring your personal protective equipment and your unhinged Portland energy. F ICE celebrating September 23rd, where they're going to commit an insurrection. We cook your meals, we haul your trash, we drive your ambulances. We are everywhere, which is what we were commenting on right after the Charlie Kirk assassination. We said, we know this is why it's such a real shock to us that you are out now celebrating murder and you're actually everywhere. It's pretty wild that you've got so many people who are doctors, are teachers, are fire lieutenants that we saw. We got people in our government. We got people from the Secret Service, surgeons salivating in murder, even though their job is to save lives and prevent murder. Psychos. And are they trying to be like Fight Club or something? Did they think they're Tyler Durden? Which I think that's a quote from Fight Club. We cook your meals. We haul your trash. We drive your ambulances. So I don't know that they are. I mean, they're shooting their own people, I guess, their own deportees who they're there to fight for, shooting them, killing them, and injuring them. So that is what they're doing. And it's like little, Al-Qaeda cells all across America. And these people are apparently American citizens. So last night we saw Katie Davis Court. She says, breaking. Antifa has once again covered it before in Portland. They're back. Trump has declared them a terrorist organization. They're now shooting at ICE facilities. The day after this protest, maybe in a coordinated attack, one ICE facility down in Texas, another one here. We are everywhere. Okay, we'll take you at your word. Great. We'll just start, attributing anti-ICE rhetoric to you since you are claiming it. So breaking, Antifa has surrounded a federal building in Eugene, Oregon to protest ICE. The domestic terrorist group is posted up at the entrances, pounding on doors and windows of a federal building. Sources inside say employees are having to find alternative exits. Yeah. And on January 6th, were there right-wingers shooting into the crowd with high caliber ammunition? No, there wasn't at all. But they called that an insurrection. This is a sustained attack in multiple locations. Katie Davis Court reporting on this for 5 days ago. They're back. Sources say inside employees are having to find alternative exits, so they're obstructing. He's got a fishing pole with a donut on it.
You wouldn't fucking be here with your fucking iPhone.
Watch your mouth! This is a live stream. Look at this lady. Will someone give her the umbrella? Look, she's like, I need an umbrella. Look, she's pulling her midriff down. It's like, oh gosh, my giant lardo guts hanging out. Can I borrow your umbrella, please? I didn't think they would be recording us. I thought I looked good, but now they're calling me a hippopotamus walking around, stomping around the Portland streets. So that's who we're dealing with. Now, finally, the federal officers decided we're going to start arresting them. Okay, they're terrorists. Bring them in. Saying here, several arrests have been made outside the federal building in Eugene. Antifa terrorists and far-left extremists have been attempting to siege the building. She's reporting there. Here's what she writes for the Post Millennial. Oh, they got her! Is that Madam Hippo? I think it was. Oh, she's not like an extra large. She's like kind of like a little baby hippo. Bye. So they arrested some other people right there. All right, that guy, see you later. Take him right in. And, you know, there's all sorts of crime. You know, a lot of these aren't peaceful protests. They're actually obstructing and interfering with government operations. And remember, they had a meltdown because government operations were interfered with for 4 hours on January 6th, and they caused it to happen, right? It would be like, in this case, it would be like if ICE was like, oh, come on in. Yeah, come on in. Blow up the whole building. No problem. And then charge them all, right, for that. But they're not doing that. But that's what happened with January 6th. They moved all the bike racks, had everybody distracted with the pipe bombs that they set up. Kamala Harris went and drove over there by the DNC. We had dozens and dozens of FBI and Homeland Security agents in there. We saw videos of a stand down order where they would tap the cop on the shoulder and just let everybody in. All of them getting charged with trespass and parading. So now this is actual criminality. It's not entrapment happening. And these people are obstructing and interfering with operations all across the country in extensive and repeated attacks. So now the arrests are happening. And so Andy NGO, aka Andy No, says as part of the lawsuit to get the Portland police to enforce the law, Discovery revealed, so they're now suing. Can you please stop this from happening? Discovery revealed that on June 25th, Antifa zip-tied and barricaded the building and attempted to set the place on fire while dozens of agents were inside. Okay, what is this other than war? If they're trying to literally destroy federal buildings and kill federal agents, they think they've declared war on America, which is why they've been designated terrorists. Antifa also brought out bags of rocks to use as projectiles. They also had rioters stop and redirect drivers on the public roads so that they could use the street as a staging ground for their violence. Mayor Wilson has announced the city is targeting the facility. Members on the city council have also been advocating for the rioters. The Portland police have not made a single arrest since June as the riots continue unabated. Front doors were zip-tied and barricaded. Crowd now was a 2026 hours, 100 plus in black bloc. They reported all their doors are zip-tied. Some are trying to light a fire in the driveway. And now they're shooting at ICE officers and killing their deportees because they're incompetent. One person killed, 2 other wounded. Trump literally just declared them to be a domestic terror organization, and they're proving that is a proper designation for them as they're shooting and killing people at federal facilities in America. So hopefully, again, this is just more confirmation for the direction that the administration is already going, refocusing their efforts on these murderers and criminals who are plotting to kill many and have killed many and enforce justice.